And we are live. Ryan Aho, Puka, the one to go show from the Beltline Body Shop 42nd Annual Labor Day Shootout with our pre-race support. We have not even had a chance to visit. Ryan's been running around. You know Ryan, he's always running around.
I need to do a lot of running around. I get out of breath walking around, so I need to do a lot of running around.
Hey, if you saw that live last week, right? Remember? You're like, oh my gosh.
Right?
So, all right, so we're going to get you going. Just a real quick word from our friends over at the Bottle Shop. So we talked about them. Right out the entrance here, straight down 25th Street, go across the highway, go through the stoplight across the highway, a couple of stop signs right on your right. You still have time. So I think they're open till 6 or 7 o'clock today on a Sunday in Hibbing. Get your bush light, get all your liquor needs taken care of, get back to the track. You still have, about 45 minutes before race time. You'll be good to go. All right, and thank you, Marcus and Jenny, for everything you've done for us this weekend. All right, a little pre-race. So where do you want to start?
I tell you what, I want to start. I talked to a lot of people after the races last night, and the fans were ecstatic. I mean, I heard so many people say that was the best Labor Day shootout they've been to in a long time for multiple reasons. I mean, there was a photo finish on the late models. That was great. I mean, that's always great. But the fact that they got it done in a 4-hour window was amazing. People they didn't have to fight the sun. It started at 6 instead of 3. That was way better, way better. I mean, we actually had lap times in the heat races that were stellar. I mean, we had some fast times. And the fact that the races got done early enough to where when you walk through the pits, it was packed. It was like the Labor Days of old where the fans went down, they interacted with the drivers, there's bonfires, there's lots of stuff going on because people didn't just get done putting in an 8.5-hour shift. So it was fabulous. I thought it went great. A couple of the drivers were a little upset about the revenge redraw. Sorry, Jesse Glenn's. I mean, that was for a couple of people. It was a bad deal. Pat Dorr is now a huge Kyle Peterlin fan. Al Utinen mentioned that he's a huge Shane Sabrowski fan. So that was kind of a neat deal. I think the fans enjoyed that. As a driver, I don't know where I would have fit in on that deal, but I think it's all about the fans anyway. And I think the folks at the Hibbing Raceway, the board members, they did a great job putting this deal together. I'm just happy I got to be a part of it.
Yeah, and as a fan, I love the revenge draw. I mean, I thought that was very, very cool. And speaking of very, very cool, we got a couple things on the docket. By the way, Samantha is saying the bottle shop's open until 6 tonight, so get on down there. So they added money for the late models in a cool format on how it's being paid. You want to rerun through that?
Yeah, it's actually, I'll let you chat for a minute.
Okay,
I want to make sure I
think
get
it's
this right.
The first call. It's first call renovation, last call transport.
I believe that's
because
what
they're
it
buddies.
is.
So one's got first call, one's got last call. So
and I'll talk about that in 2 seconds. I just want to confirm that that's what it's
so
actually
it's
called.
actually $4,000 to win tonight for the late models, but there's a bonus to it. So it's $2,000 on the standard purse, but there's $2,000 laid in a very unique fashion.
So yeah, last call transport, first call renovation bonus is what it is. And they kicked in $2,000 to the purse, $500 to the leader of lap 10, $500 to the leader of lap 20, $500 to the leader of lap 30, and $500 to the winner. So in a perfect world, I want to see 4 different lead changes. Get that, or more lead changes than that would be good. But 4 different people get that. But it's a pretty cool deal to throw some extra money at the purse in a unique fashion, something a little bit different. A couple things that you don't know about yet. We're going to talk about. There's a couple other little twists and turns to the program today, but extra money. So I was talking to Jeffrey Massengill, and he's leading the TriStar Late Model Series.
Yes.
Okay, 10-point lead over Jesse Glentz.
Okay.
If he happens to start up front and leads all 40 laps, he could walk out of here tonight, guys, $6,000 richer.
Right.
So wow, there's some extra cash, and Daryl Nelson was kind of questioning. I don't know if I want to race Sunday. I'm kind of liking the Sundays off while the Hermantown Hammer is in the house, and so I'm happy about that. And I'm not sure if it was from the bonus. I think that was part of it. But his son Cade, man, he was jacked up. He's like, Ryan, you got to get him to stay. And if you look through the pictures there, I posted a picture of Cade doing that revenge redraw.
Yes, yeah, I did see that.
Oh my God, it was hilarious. I mean, literally, he grabbed it, he saw 8, and he's like, bam, and he went right to Jesse Glenn's. And Jesse's like, oh God, no. So that was a pretty cool deal. But, what's your thoughts on the race program last night? Then I'll get into a couple twists and turns for tonight.
Yeah, well, like I said, last night I thought it was fantastic. I said 4 hours, and race fans, but the 4 hours included, what was the revenge redraw? Maybe 20 minutes?
Yep.
So, I mean, like I said, if weather was coming or if you guys were behind, you didn't have to do that. And then we also did out-of-car introductions, a page from the 90s. We used to love that. And like I said, if the show would have been running long or something like that, you guys could have. So, really, the show could have been done in 3:15, 3.5. And then, like I said, I think this format for that $500 bonus is so unique. I'm interested to see in the years to come now how many tracks copy that, because you got a guy, say you're a guy that feels, I'm not saying this, but say you're a guy who feels you're kind of lucky to get in, and maybe you feel you got pretty lucky to start up front. Well, you got a 40-lap race, and maybe you say, look, if I get to lap 10 the lead, $500, that covers my tire bill. Then the rest of the race is just a bogey. So maybe a guy just doesn't decide to save his tire. He just goes like a banshee for those first 10 laps, but then maybe he fades because maybe he's used stuff up. So I'm interested to see kind of how this all
Now there is a few guys out there, right, that maybe just do that regardless. They go like a banshee for 10 laps and then they kind of fade, and they're like, man, I'm always so fast at the beginning. Well, guess what? You get rewarded for being fast at the beginning tonight, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, awesome. Any news on Finkbone and the challenge there?
We are actually going to call him out. So at 6 o'clock, they're going to have the national anthems, or just before 6. And Chad Finkbone, the 40 Pure Stock, is going to be on the stage. And he's hemming and hawing a little bit, right? But there's $250 extra bonus money. It's only $250 to win for the Pure Stocks. Somebody threw in a $50 bonus to make it $300, and now there's an additional $250 on the purse if he chooses to start last and wins. Now, here's what's interesting about that is Corey Jorgensen was here yesterday, and he just said, I don't know, for whatever reason, he didn't run the heat. Well, he's here tonight. So last year's winners were Corey Jorgensen and Chad Finkbone. Corey Jorgensen, the defending, or reigning, I guess, nothing to defend because there isn't a national championship this year, but he's a reigning national champ. So if Finkbone takes the bonus, you could see both of last year's winners rolling off the last row in that Pure Stock feature. So that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that'll be a slicer and dicer.
And that Baumgartner, I think he's starting on the front row.
Okay.
He was fast in that 72. He came from the back to second. So if they take it, you're going to have Baumgartner up front, and then Margot Butcher look good in her heat, and then you're going to have Michael Roth, who's been running very well as well. So you got some pretty good cars up there, but the two fastest guys in my mind, I think, are Finkbone and Corey Jorgensen. The fans want to see them guys start last, for sure.
For sure, yeah. Oh, yeah. It'll have tons of drama, you know. So, and if they win, you know, when they're in victory lane, they're going to really feel it. Like, hey, I just went from last to first or second to last to first. So the emotion in victory lane is going to be really cool to watch too. Okay, so we kind of hit that. So what else you got?
So the other thing is Hot Carl's in the house, back here from Texarkana, Texas.
All the way from Texas.
Yeah.
Can you believe it?
When's
the last time we had a Texas guy?
That's the long haul award all by itself,
far,
right?
Yeah.
So the fact is, he was going to throw in an extra 150. He's got the Win 1 B main ride.
Yes.
He was going to throw 150 into the B main. There is no B main in the Supers. So they rounded up a little extra cash, and they're going to have, I think it's going to be called the Hot Carl Hooligan Race or something like that. And I think they're taking like the last 6 transfer spots that didn't make the redraw. They have the format. I'm not exactly sure who's in it. I haven't seen that yet. And they're going to have a dash for cash, winner take all, $450 to win that.
Wow.
So they're going to have, and it's not going to be the guys that are in the redraw. So that's kind of a neat deal. It's not going to be your normal Burdick, Sobraski, Kurt Myers. It's not going to be those guys. It's going to be that next echelon of guys that maybe don't get a chance to win this 500 or 1,000. They're going to be able to race for $450 to win, a little extra money on the line for those guys.
Awesome. And a big win in front of a big crowd.
Yes.
So that's even good. They can say, hey, they can go home on Monday and say, I parked in a victory lane at Labor Day, right? I mean, they could say it.
Okay, I see Jorgensen ran Rice Lake last night. What's weird is he called and he drew, right? So he called and he drew. What year is the door panel?
About 2000. You probably got a better one, Marcus.
So Jorgensen, I didn't even realize that. See, he drew. He was in the lineups. He was supposed to be here. He was in the lineups, and then he bolted to Rice Lake. So Bombers, they posted that he went down to Rice Lake. How did he do down there? Maybe posting there.
Was he intimidated? We just start calling Finkbone the Intimidator?
Scared of the 40,
Holy.
right? Well, probably smart on his part because there was only, there wasn't a ton of Pure Stocks here, so he got to race a feature there. He gets to race a feature here.
I see.
Not a big deal, so probably a pretty good move on his part to do that. So with that said, I mean, the program's a little bit condensed tonight. We got we're gonna have a full program for modifieds, a full program for late models. We got the Hot Carl Hooligan Race. We got features for the other 4 classes: Hornets, Pure Stocks, Midwest Mods, and Super Stocks. And then I'll probably have a couple B mains in there as well. At intermission, they're going to be doing some track prep at intermission. We're going to be introducing your track champions from the 2020 season. in recognizing those folks down there. So excited to be able to do that. There's a couple of them that are definitely fan favorites here at the Hibbing Raceway. But I'm excited. The wind is whipping.
But it's supposed to.
It is.
Yeah,
it's supposed to die down. It's been just whipping through the pits here. But they said about 5:30 or so it's supposed to die down.
Well, it's done that all week. Like I said, people are saying, why did Rapids put so much water on the track? On Friday, it was sunny. And it was 70, 75, but it was windy.
Right.
But by the time the racing started, there were the flags sitting limp. It was the same thing here yesterday. It was windy.
Right.
Races started, the flags were sitting limp. So right now the track looks beautiful. They're out there packing it in. Of course, there wasn't a hole in the typical Hibbing. There was not a hole in the place last night. It was smooth as glass. So, we'll see what happens here that later start time.
How about that finish in the late models? Jake Hittner, or not Jake Hittner, excuse me, Derek Vessel.
They're all the same. They're all related.
Yeah. So Derek Vessel and Pat Dorr. I mean, Dorr. First of all, Kyle Pietona, if you're watching this, who gives Pat Dorr the front row?
On the outside too. Yeah.
You better get your butt down to the door ride. You better go talk to Pat. Bring him a sticker. Put a 23 on the car. But in all honesty, what a race! The drier it got.
Yes.
The drier it got. That 16 car has been really, really good. And obviously, day 2 of the Labor Day Shootout, not so much last year, but I think it's going to be a little bit drier tonight than it was because of the wind and other variables. The sun's shining. It's a nice day. Great weather. I mean,
yeah, totally.
4 days of racing where we can actually not have to worry about rain, thank God. And but I keep an eye on that 16. I'm interested to see if he can pull one off. He's so due. And Massengill, called him out on the show. He's another guy. Yeah. The drier it gets, he's going to be another guy. He looked really good national on the slippery stuff there. So I'm excited for a night of racing. So any closing thoughts on your part?
Well, just like I said, I would say Dorr at one point had a straightaway, and then about 5-6 laps ago, you could just see how much Vessel was gaining on him. All of a sudden, he's on his bumper, and I look down, I'm like, oh my gosh, 2 to go. And he gets a little closer, and he takes a look, and he backs off, and then that last lap on the last corner, he gets underneath, and people that were sitting on the south side of the fairgrounds actually said, a couple of people I talked to last night said, it looked like Vessel won from their perspective. Right. But where we are, we could see at the flag stand, and Dorr, half a nose, quarter of a nose, somewhere in there.
It was less than half a car. Yeah. It was like 0.06, right? Now, I actually talked to Kanta, too. I stopped down, talked to Tony and John, and I said, what happened? Because I'm like, did the lug nuts fall off? He
lost the tire last night. She went bouncing.
Yeah, right rear came off. He broke the center out of the wheel. And then I'm like, it was a little rough there on Rapids. I'm like, was that from Rapids? He goes, we didn't even use that wheel in Rapids.
Ooh.
So that was, just fatigue or from something else. So he's like, I'm kind of glad it was in Hibbing because, if you're in Cedar Lake and that happens, you might need to buy a new race car. So it's probably a good thing that it happened there. But, I'm excited. I'm kind of a homer, so I'm kind of looking for some of the local guys to shine again tonight. And,
well, it's been a great weekend for the locals. I mean, Newton's not really a local, but these guys that come here for years. I mean, he's only, 80 miles away in Superior. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, Massengill has won. And
you know what was cool? You know what was cool is you don't see many people that excited. Like, he won, he's on top of the car, he's fist pumping, and then he's like, I'm a little old to be doing that. Like, if I fall, it's going to hurt. But the fact is, it's cool to see that enthusiasm. You see some people win, and they're like, it's like, show some enthusiasm. You got to be a showman, right? You got to show that excitement because the fans feed off that. So any of you drivers, if you're watching this, when you win, I expect a roof dance, backflip, something crazy. You better be pumping the fist because the crowd comes out to see that. They want to see that. They want that enthusiasm. And I love seeing that. I was so happy for Al Utanen last night. Nice guy. I mean, he's one of the
been around a long time.
He has. So, with that said, we're about ready to get to race in action. I got to scoot over a couple doors down and get into the announcing booth. That was pretty fun announcing with Fleisch.
You guys did a great job. That was another thing. A real nice touch with you in there. And then, like I said, the driver introductions, the revenge redrive, everything was done really well last night. So again, if you're in the area, 6 o'clock start time. Even if you get here at 6:30, you're still gonna, or 7 o'clock, you're still gonna get plenty of racing action. Like I said, okay.
And if you can't make it, Dirt Race Central. Watch drc.tv. Jump on there. You'll be able to catch all the action live tonight from the Hibbing Raceway.
All right. We'll catch you all at intermission. We'll give you a little update then. See you then.